One of the most dedicated mule deer hunters I know is Tony Caligieri, the president of Boyd Harness Company. When Tony's not overseeing the production of the world's highest quality gun cases, hunting accessories, and specialty outdoor clothing, he's somewhere feeding his hunting passion. One of his favorite hunts is his yearly trek into the Sonoran Desert of Old Mexico in search of the huge muley bucks who call this harsh yet beautiful country home. This is vast country, and the deer density is lower than most traditional mule deer range, but there are monster bucks roaming the cactus and scrub of the desert, and Tony Caligieri has returned in search of a true muy grande. We're in Mexico in search of big desert muleys as we open the pages of Trijicon's World of Sports Afield.
Trijicon's World of Sports Afield is presented by Trijicon, Brilliant Aiming Solutions, DSC, the Dallas Safari Club, Ruger Firearms, Hornady Manufacturing, accurate, deadly, dependable, the Wildlife Gallery Custom Taxidermy Studio, Carl Zeiss Sport Optics, we make it visible, Boyd Harness Company, Cannon Safes, nothing protects like a cannon. The Wild Sheep Foundation.
And Les Chameaux, the best boots money can buy.
How are you? Good to see you. How you doing? How you doing? My favorite chef.
You know, 60 years ago, readers of Sports Afield were regaled by stories from John Jobson and Jack O'Connor and Russell Annabelle about their adventures south of the border in search of desert mule deer. And today, you can still hunt desert mule deer in Mexico. In fact, there's more hunters traveling to Mexico to hunt desert mule deer than ever before. And the hunting just keeps getting better thanks to an outfitting industry that's concerned about the resource and are very forward thinking.
Tony Caligieri is a veteran of many hunts in Old Mexico, and his annual forays south of the border are much anticipated adventures. As Tony settled into the comfortable hacienda, visions of the big mule deer bucks were dominating his thoughts.
Well, our rifle made it through 2 different flights and all the customs procedures fine and in good shape, but it's always good to sight it in and check it after you get off the airplane. And Alejandro at Rancho Hunting has built a beautiful concrete bench, and we've got a perfect range here with a Boyd cast iron bench rest that's down here. So it's a nice sunny day in Old Mexico, and we'll see if the rifle shoots, and if that works, we're gonna go hunting.
A mature desert buck in this area has the potential to grow a world-class set of antlers, despite what at first glance seems to be very desolate range conditions. But Tony has been there before and knows that hard hunting, combined with a bit of good luck, can produce some eye-popping bucks. If a comfortable camp is an important ingredient to a hunt, the accommodations at Rancho Hunting fit the bill, and then some. World-class accommodations mixed with traditional hospitality common to this region made the entire experience one to be enjoyed on every level.
We'll find the muy grande tomorrow. Yep. All right, thank you. Cheers. Good to be back. Cheers.
We're in Old Mexico after trophy mule deer when Trijicon's World of Sports Afield returns. The Hunting Tradition, brought to you by Dallas Safari Club.
I'm Diana Rupp, Editor-in-Chief of Sports Afield magazine, with this week's installment of The Hunting Tradition. As the 19th century turned into the 20th, unrestricted market hunting and rapid settlement of the West had taken its toll on North America's big game populations. Hunter and naturalist Theodore Roosevelt saw what was happening and gathered a few of his influential friends, George Bird Grinnell, William Tecumseh Sherman, Gifford Pinchot, and others, to form a group to save wildlife and protect a place called Yellowstone. Roosevelt named this group after two of his childhood heroes, Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett. Over the next 100 years, the Boone and Crockett Club championed the passage of laws and the designation of national forests and national wildlife refuges that today are the foundation of our nation's conservation system. And one of its most important acts was the development of a fair chase hunting ethic in the late 1800s. The club's fair chase statement and philosophies on hunting ethics later became the foundation for most of the hunting laws we have in the United States today. Today, the Boone and Crockett Club continues to champion the fair chase ethic and sponsor numerous wildlife research programs. The club is also well known for its record book and official measurement and scoring system for trophy animals. The holy grail for many hunters is to bag an animal that makes the book, meaning it will meet or exceed the minimum score established by Boone and Crockett for that species. The club also considers these records to be an important tool to track the success of wildlife management programs throughout the continent. You can learn more about the hunting tradition in every issue of Sports Afield magazine or at sportsafield.com.
The day starts early with an ample breakfast. High-racked hunting vehicles offer both transportation across large reaches as well as an elevated look into the dense pockets of scrub these deer favor. The hunt starts as the first rays of dawn break over the Sonoran Desert.
I've been hunting Sonora for 14 years. In fact, this is my 6th trip to the ranch that we're hunting on now. I've had the wonderful opportunity to take some great deer, including 2 over the magical 200 mark. It doesn't happen every time. In fact, when you're looking for a deer like that, you better be prepared to go home without one. But we're going to see what we find on this hunt, and prospects are good because we've spent 6 days during the rut and located a couple of bucks. Now they've calmed down a little bit, so we're back for a second try at them.
As the sun topped the low hills, a large-bodied deer was seen moving through the sea of dense mesquite. A flash of tall antlers was more than enough to convince Tony to dismount the high rack and move in on foot in hopes of getting a better look at the buck, which was now accompanied by a smaller deer. On foot, the desert floor is, in actuality, a dense tangle of mesquite and scrub that can easily swallow the largest of deer. You move in slow and pray the buck makes a mistake.
We saw the small buck come out, the big buck wasn't with him, and then we just found out that the bigger buck is right back from where we started. So hopefully we'll make it back to the truck in a little bit and he'll still be close by. You know, 30 years ago, the preferred method of hunting mule deer in Sonora was by tracking. They would get on a big buck and just get on his tracks and walk in the desert all day. It's practiced very seldom now. There's a few older cowboys that still track in the sandy country that's kind of west of Hermosillo, but for all intents and purposes, no one has 2 weeks to spend on a hunt in the desert where they're tracking deer, and there's just no one to do it. Hunting out of a high rack is very common in Sonora, very accepted method of hunting, and we're dealing with literally hundreds of square miles, low deer densities. So we're trying to locate a buck. We're using the trucks frequently now, just trying to find a big deer. This is the kind of stuff that always happens. The first day of the hunt, first hour of the hunt, we see a deer that would be a tremendous last day deer. Actually a tremendous deer any place but Sonora. Real typical 4x4 buck with brow tines, 30 inches wide, would probably gross in the 190 to 195 range. And what do? You got 6 days left to hunt. You don't want to end it, but you don't want to pass him up. But we passed him up, and we'll probably regret it by the end of the hunt.
We're on the move and looking for a Mexican monster when Trijicon's World of Sports Afield returns. Whether from the high rack or on foot, from a good vantage point, careful glassing is a must as you try to pick out deer in the low scrub. The bucks on the move are easier to pick out, but you must also be on the lookout for bucks bedded, where only the flash of antler or the flicker of an ear may be the clue that leads you to the buck of your lifetime. You must never lose faith in the fact that he is out there. But you know that spotting him is the first step in putting your hands on those heavy mahogany horns.
When you think of the desert, you think of a fairly sterile environment. No one ever realizes how full of wildlife that the Sonoran Desert is. Not only do you have all the cactus and different varieties of plants, but you've got everything from desert cottontails to jackrabbits at the bottom of the food chain to beautiful hawks and birds of prey that we don't have in the States. And you've got javelina, you've got coos deer, you've got mule deer. You just never know what you're going to find out in the desert. And it's not what you think. It really is just full of wildlife and a very, very diverse plant life structure as well.
Finding the right buck in Mexico can be a numbers game. Good luck and bad luck can be intertwined. For example, this giant buck who was roaming in the company of a smaller companion. A broken main beam saved this deer, which would have been a tremendous trophy if not for the lucky break. The buck's, not Tony's. A quick trip to camp for lunch, and then it was back to the hunt. The afternoon would find Tony and his guide trying their luck in a blind where a big muley had been seen previously.
It's overcast, the moon's been real dark. It's a little earlier in the day than normally we'd go out, but we're going to the blinds early because we're hoping the deer will be moving early. We just saw a tremendous buck, just a giant buck. He was on the neighbor's side, so we couldn't shoot him, but hopefully we'll have a big deer come in here tonight. They're with does and the rut's on and the weather conditions are ideal, so maybe we'll have a little luck on our side.
Several layers of Boyd cold weather gear felt very good as the desert chill fought for a foothold. Several does and a couple of small bucks filtered into range.
¿Dónde está el macho grande?
But if he was there, the big buck that favored this piece of desert decided to stay back in the bush till darkness descended on this day.
Well, our plan for tonight didn't work. We had several does come in and a smaller buck. Had a real enjoyable time watching them, but the big buck just didn't come through here. So we've got tomorrow yet, and we're going to give it another try then.
Tony Caligieri has found a muy grande. But can he close the distance? The answer? When Trijicon's World of Sports Afield returns. And now, Inside the Hunt, brought to you by Hornady.
You know, we talk a lot about matching the rifle and cartridge and bullet and even the scope to the hunt, but what about your other optics? Now, in big open country like this, to my thinking, there's absolutely no substitute for a full-size binocular. These are 10 by 45 Zeiss with a rangefinder, so although these are fairly substantial binoculars to carry, I don't have to carry a separate rangefinder. And I really like the larger binoculars in big open country because, you know, they hold so steady. They balance well in your hands, and you can just get good and steady with them. And by the way, in big open country, you also need a full-size spotting scope. And you know, in some situations, maybe you can count on your guide having the spotting scope, but in my experience, that's something for a mountain hunt you don't want to leave home without. But you know, a lot of hunts, you really don't need to look at quite this big a country, and so maybe you're better off with a lighter weight binocular. Certainly lightweight binoculars like these Victory 10 by 32s are a lot easier to carry. They're less weight around your neck. And if that's the way you're going, then you probably want a separate rangefinder. I tell you what, I've gotten spoiled over the years. I remember when laser rangefinders first came in and then first became affordable. That was many years ago, and today I wouldn't be without one.
This segment is brought to you by Cannon Safes. Nothing protects like a cannon.
We're hunting out of the truck this morning, trying to cover a lot of ground and see if we can find a deer that they actually saw a couple of days ago. We're waiting for the sun to come up a little bit so we can get it behind us, and it'll light up kind of the areas that we're glassing rather than try and glass right into the sun while it's flat. So it's going to be a beautiful morning. We'll go see if we can find that buck.
Patience has paid off. This is a tremendous buck. It's what we've been looking for all week. We've got a situation where we can probably plan a quick stock and make a plan and kill this deer. So that's what we're going to try.
We saw a pretty good buck. He's feeding with some does, probably like a 190 type deer. So he's in some cover where we can probably get a stock on him. It's open enough where we can see the chute, but it's still got enough mesquite and brush in there where we can kind of hide as we go. So we're going to go on foot here and see if we can catch up with him, and hopefully we'll get a decent shot here. Okay, is he with those does still? Still with the does? Okay. All right, let's ease up because that's pretty open up there. Maybe we can catch him. Okay. He's behind that brush more. He steps out just a little. He's hit a little low. Yeah, he's hit good. We'll find him. Okay, I don't know what I did. I don't know if it hit the brush or... All right. Let's go find him. Yeah, he got out of here. There's a piece of bone, another piece. I think he's hit hard. I don't think he's going to go far. Yeah, he just went right up through here. Oh, there he is, Mo. All right, he looks dead. Well, that's a nice buck. Yeah. Hold on a second. Yeah,
He's dead. All right. What a nice deer.
Tony felt the satisfaction that comes from hunting hard, setting a goal, and sealing the adventure with a well-placed shot. This buck, like those before him, would live forever in Tony's memory and hunter's heart. The hunt for trophy mule deer in Sonora rates as one of North America's premier hunting adventures. As long as the world-class bucks roam the Cactus and Mesquite Flats, men like Tony will continue to look south when the icy winds of January blow.
You know, as I get older, I like these hunts that have a little more comfort level to them, and nothing's better than the food in Sonora, the people, everyone from the cowboys to our chef, to the outfitter. Everyone here has just been tremendous, and like I say, this is one of my favorite places in the world, and I can't imagine not spending the first week of January every year here.
Trijicon's World of Sports Afield has been brought to you by Trijicon, Brilliant Aiming Solutions, DSC, the Dallas Safari Club, Ruger Firearms, Hornady Manufacturing, accurate, deadly, dependable, the Wildlife Gallery Custom Taxidermy Studio, Carl Zeiss Sport Optics, we make it visible, Boyd Harness Company, Cannon Safes, nothing protects like a cannon, the Wild Sheep Foundation,
And Les Chameaux, the best boots money can buy.
Closed captioning provided by Getting Involved, a guide to hunting and conservation for kids.